consider for a moment, maybe just pause and think. Where in your life do you feel a sense of, well, fundamental weakness? Something you've perhaps learned to live with, maybe even tried to overcome without much success. Now, what if that very point of vulnerability held the potential for a profound, unexpected strength? A strength accessed through something greater than yourself.
That's really the counterintuitive truth we want to dig into today. Our world, it often praises self-reliance. It encourages projecting this image of invincibility.
Right, like you have to have it all figured out.
Exactly. But within a different framework, a spiritual understanding, true strength isn't really about the absence of weakness. It's actually about its very presence, creating space for a different kind of power to operate.
Okay, so we're looking at this idea that when we stop trying to, hide or fix our perceived flaws or inadequacies, and instead actually acknowledge them,
Yeah.
something transformative can happen.
Yes. It's like admitting where we fall short allows a strength beyond our own to become evident. It's quite profound, really.
It definitely runs against the grain.
hmm And this perspective finds a really powerful anchor in the words of the Apostle Paul. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10, he stated quite boldly, "That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, for when I am weak, then I am strong."
Wow. Delight in weaknesses, that's strong language.
It is, and it provides this foundational understanding of strength that, as you said, runs directly against conventional wisdom.
Let's unpack that a bit because
hmm
honestly, it feels so contrary to how we're often conditioned. The message we get constantly is be strong, be capable, be in control. Weakness feels like a failure, something to hide.
Absolutely. The common narrative equates strength with self-sufficiency, right? With
hmm
having no needs or flaws. But the spiritual perspective suggests the opposite. It posits that it's in acknowledging our limitations, in being honest about where we are not strong on our own, that we actually create an opening.
An opening for what exactly?
An opening for a different kind of strength to emerge. A strength that isn't generated from within our own resources, you see.
So it's not about just putting on a brave face then. It's about a deeper level of honesty, recognizing our genuine limits.
Precisely. And it goes even a step further than just honesty. These moments where we feel inadequate, they aren't simply hurdles to get over. They can actually be significant opportunities.
Opportunities? How so?
Well, this teaching suggests that our weaknesses don't disqualify us from experiencing grace, that unearned divine help. In fact, they might be the very things that make us receptive to it.
So weakness as an entry point, not a dead end. That's a huge shift in thinking.
It really is. And think about Paul's own attitude again. He didn't just tolerate his weaknesses. The text says he found joy in them.
Which brings us back to that paradoxical idea. Why?
Yeah.
What could possibly be the source of joy in feeling weak?
Well, Paul understood that his limitations actually highlighted the power of God working in his life. Maybe when he felt strong and capable on his own.
He relied on himself more.
Perhaps. But in his weakness, he recognized his total dependence on a power far greater than his own. And it was right there, in that dependence, that he experienced a strength he couldn't possibly generate himself.
It's like emptying yourself to make space for something larger to operate through you. That's a powerful image. Can you give us maybe a more contemporary example, someone who lived this out?
Certainly. Think about that story from just last year, 2025, about the Paralympic athlete from Japan. After a really significant injury, which led to profound physical limitations, she was reflecting on her whole journey. And she shared this incredibly powerful insight. She said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, "It wasn't the medals that showed my strength. It was the moments I had nothing left but God."
Wow. Nothing left but God.
Yeah.
It reframes everything, doesn't it? It moves
Yeah.
strength away from achievement, away from physical ability, towards something rooted purely in faith during moments of complete dependence.
Exactly. Her vulnerability, that feeling of absolute reliance, became the very context in which her deepest strength, her spiritual strength, was revealed and, well, probably deepened. It wasn't about her athletic skill in that moment of reflection. It was about her capacity to lean entirely on her faith when her own reserves were just gone.
You also mentioned a pastor in Mexico. How does his story fit into this?
Ah, yes. He's a pastor who faced a really significant battle with addiction earlier in his life, long before he entered ministry. Now, by conventional standards, you might think that's a shameful past, something you'd want to conceal, right?
Absolutely. Most people would try to bury that.
But his perspective is completely different. He actually states, "My past isn't a shame, it's a platform. God shines brightest through what we try to hide."
A platform.
Yeah.
That's turning it completely around. So instead of his past disqualifying him, He sees it as the very foundation for what he does now.
Precisely that. His past vulnerability, his struggles, they now enable him to connect on a really deep level with others who are facing similar challenges. His recovery program, which helps hundreds of people every year, stands as this powerful example of how what we might see as our deepest wounds can be transformed into sources of healing and hope for others. It demonstrates grace in action, really.
So these weaknesses, these vulnerabilities, they're not just personal burdens we carry. They can actually become bridges, ways to connect and offer real hope.
Absolutely. And this leads us to think about weakness as a kind of testimony. When we surrender our vulnerabilities, when we allow a greater power to work through them, our experiences become compelling evidence, proof almost.
Evidence of that power working in our lives.
Yes. What we might view as moments of deep shame or failure can be transformed into stories. Stories of hope and strength that can genuinely impact those around us.
It's like our brokenness can become a lens,
Yeah.
something others can look through to see something profound.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And a key insight, maybe the core takeaway to carry with you from our conversation today, is this. Your meekness isn't your liability. It's potentially your testimony.
Your weakness isn't your liability, it's your testimony. That really is an invitation, isn't it? To fundamentally reconsider what strength means and where true power actually comes from.
It is. It challenges our deepest assumptions.
So let's circle back to where we started, that initial thought. What part of your life feels like a weakness right now, and how might you allow? How might a divine power turn that very thing into a source of unexpected strength? It's definitely a question worth pondering, isn't it? Perhaps in truly embracing our vulnerabilities, we unlock pathways to strength and maybe even a deeper sense of purpose than we could ever imagine on our own.